started with dinner. One night, I came home with takeout from her favorite Thai spot, hoping we could just sit down and eat like we used to. She was on the couch, scrolling her phone, barely looked up, just said, "I already ate," and went right back to whatever she was watching. That's when I first noticed it, the quiet space growing between us. My name's Brian. I'm 36 years old. I live in Dayton, Ohio. We used to eat together every night. She used to text me midday asking what I wanted for dinner, or she'd get excited to try a new recipe. Then one day it just stopped. She'd claim she was tired, or she wasn't hungry, or she'd already eaten. And I'd just sit there at the table alone, pushing food around, trying not to take it personally. At first, I told myself it was stress. Her job was intense, mine wasn't much better. I thought maybe we'd just hit a rough patch. But weeks turned into months, and the excuses piled up. No to walks around the neighborhood. No to movie nights. No to sex. No to anything that involved being together, really. Every day I'd come home hoping maybe tonight would be different. And every night I'd leave the room feeling like wallpaper. Silent dinners became the new normal. Her phone was always in her hand, always between us. She'd sit across from me and laugh at something her friend texted. But if I said anything, she'd just hum or nod without looking up. Sometimes I'd say a full sentence and she wouldn't even react. I started repeating myself just to see if she was actually listening. She never was. One night, I asked her if she wanted to watch a show we used to binge together. She didn't even look up, just said, "I'm tired," and kept scrolling. I sat there in the living room while she was 10 feet away, and it felt like I was talking through a glass wall. No fight, no yelling, just nothing. That was worse. I wasn't angry, not then, just tired. Tired of feeling like I had to beg my own wife to see me. I kept trying anyway. Brought home flowers once, left a note on the fridge another time. She barely glanced at either. The silence wasn't just in our conversations. It was in her eyes, her body language, the way she'd walk past me like I was just another piece of furniture. But I told myself, it'll get better. I just had to wait it out. Then one night, I came home and realized I'd stopped hoping. I dropped my keys, looked around our kitchen, and felt nothing. She was there. I was there. But the we had quietly left the building. So I planned one last night. Came home early from work, hit the grocery store on the way, picked up everything she liked. Ribeye, garlic mashed potatoes, that fancy red wine she only drank on good days. I even set the table with candles. I figured maybe, just maybe, I could remind her what it felt like when we actually gave a damn about each other. She walked in around 6:30, dropped her bag by the door, saw the setup, and blinked like she'd walked into the wrong house. I said, "Hey," figured I'd cook tonight. Thought we could eat together. She didn't smile, didn't say thank you, just walked over, looked at the plate, said, "Smells good," and took it to the couch like it was any other Tuesday. Sat down, turned on some reality show, and started eating while watching her phone at the same time. Volume up. I stood there for a second, still holding my own plate, still hoping she'd notice the effort. I sat across from her on the other couch, cleared my throat a little, tried again. "How was work?" "Fine," she mumbled, eyes on the screen. "I'm tired." That was it. "No, how about you?" "No, thanks for dinner." Not even eye contact. I stared at her for a second, just watched her chew while she laughed at something on her phone. I don't even think she realized I was sitting there. And that's when it hit me hard. I wasn't cooking dinner for the woman I loved. I was performing, like a street clown hoping for applause. I was begging to matter in my own home. I didn't say a word, just picked up my plate, walked to the kitchen, and ate standing at the counter. I didn't taste a damn thing. Later that night, we got into bed. She was on her phone again, headphones in this time, back turned to me, that same cold silence like I was just some guy renting space in her life. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the soft clicks of her scrolling, and something inside me just shut off. I didn't cry, didn't get mad. I just felt done. Done chasing, done begging, done bending myself backward to get a crumb of attention. If she couldn't even look me in the eye after a home-cooked dinner, what the hell was I still fighting for? So I made a decision. From that moment on, I stopped trying. I stopped asking if she wanted to eat together. I stopped suggesting walks or movie nights or talking about our day. I still did my part. I paid the bills, took out the trash, fixed stuff when it broke, but I pulled my heart out of the ring. I stopped checking her mood every morning like it was a weather report. Stopped waiting for her to reach out. Stopped hoping today would be the day she came back to me. Instead, I decided to come back to myself. That night, lying 2 feet away from the woman I used to share everything with, I realized I'd been holding onto a version of us that didn't exist anymore, and I finally let go. The next morning, I got up early, took a long shower, and made breakfast for myself. She walked into the kitchen half an hour later, hair a mess, face glued to her screen. Didn't notice the eggs. Didn't ask where hers were. I didn't offer. That's how it started. I picked up a book that had been gathering dust on my nightstand for 2 years. Something about focusing your energy where it actually matters. I read 20 pages before bed every night after that. With the lights on. Didn't ask if it bothered her. She didn't even notice. 2 days later, I signed up at a local gym. The old school kind, rusty weights, no juice bar, full of guys who don't talk. I went every morning at 6. Came home sore and sweating, tossed my clothes in the hamper, and made protein shakes while she got ready for work. She never asked where I'd been. I started texting my buddy Chris again. We hadn't hung out in over a year. Grabbed beers on Friday nights, started shooting pool on Wednesdays like we used to before marriage turned into routine. I stayed out later, started smiling more. Not fake smiling, actual laughing. Felt weird at first, like wearing someone else's jacket, but it started to fit again. At home, I stayed quiet, did the laundry, paid the mortgage, changed the oil in her car. But the switch had flipped. I no longer waited for her to see me. And man, that silence, the one that used to crush me, it started to feel like peace. Not expecting anything from her was the most freeing thing I'd felt in years. I stopped living in reaction to her mood. I didn't take her coldness personal anymore. It wasn't about me. It never had been. She didn't notice the change. Not right away. Why would she? From her side, nothing had changed. The lights stayed on, the groceries appeared in the fridge, the bills were covered, the chores were done. That's all she ever looked at anyway, what I provided. But the difference was massive. Internally, I was done playing emotional fetch. Then came the moment everything shifted. It was a Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen finishing my coffee when she walked in with this fake sweet tone she only used when she wanted something. "Hey babe," she said, drawing out the word like it still meant something. "So I found this amazing day package at Oak Ridge Spa. It's like an all-day thing. Facial, massage, mani-pedi, full body treatment. The works." I raised my eyebrows. "Aha." She smiled like a kid begging for candy. "It's $500. But I deserve to feel appreciated, right?" I didn't say anything. Just looked at her. $500. For 1 day of pampering. After months of, "I'm tired and not tonight," and "Can you stop talking during my show?" She wasn't too tired for a spa. Just too tired for me. Something sharp settled in my chest. Not anger, clarity. She hadn't been overwhelmed. She'd just been uninterested. Selective effort. She still had energy for comfort, luxury, and fun. Just none for me. That moment right there was the nail in it. I set my mug in the sink, nodded slowly and said, "Got it." And I meant it. I got everything I needed to know. She stood there, leaning against the counter, smiling like she'd already won. "So," she said, voice all light and chirpy, "about that spa thing I told you about, it's only $500. Full day treatment. I seriously need it. I've been under so much stress. I deserve to feel appreciated." I turned from the sink and wiped my hands on a towel. "500. Yeah," she said quickly. "It's a whole package. I've been putting everyone first for so long. I need this." I looked at her for a long second, steady. "I know what it's like to feel unappreciated." She blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I said slowly. I know exactly what it feels like when the person you're supposed to matter to doesn't invest in you. She gave a quick laugh, the fake kind. Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. It's just a spa day. I didn't laugh. When's the last time you put 500 worth of effort into us? Her smile froze. Excuse me? Into us? I repeated. Our marriage. This house. Me. When's the last time you did something for us like that? She opened her mouth. Shut it. Then grabbed her phone like it might save her. I work. I'm tired. You know that. I nodded. Yeah, you're always tired. But not for this. She crossed her arms. I can't believe you're making me feel guilty about wanting something nice for once. I'm not making you feel guilty, I said evenly. I'm telling you no. Her eyes went wide. What do you mean no? I mean no, I said. Not because I can't afford it. Because I won't fund someone who doesn't invest back. She set her phone down hard. Wow, so now I have to earn my own husband's money. You're free to buy it yourself, I said. Use your own card. Book the spa. But I'm done paying for someone who treats me like an ATM. That's ridiculous, she snapped. You're being petty. Am I? I asked, still calm. I cook dinner, I pay the bills, I cover every single thing in this house. And you can't even look me in the eye while you ask for $500 so you can feel appreciated. She tried a softer tone, stepping closer. Babe, it's just a treat. You know how hard I work. Please. No. She stared at me, stunned. You're serious? I set the towel down, walked past her, and opened the fridge like we were done talking. Dead serious. She followed me. You're punishing me. That's what this is. I closed the fridge and turned around. No. This is me finally saying I'm not going to keep pouring into a well that's bone dry. She backed up a step. Her face flickered anger, confusion, then something like fear. I don't even know who you're being right now. I shrugged. Maybe you're just seeing me for the first time in a long time. She didn't answer. Just stood there, arms folded, staring at the floor like she was trying to work out a math problem she'd never had to solve before. And for the first time in years, I didn't rush to explain or soften it or offer an alternative. I let the silence sit, felt solid. She didn't speak to me the next morning. Not a word. She made a big show of clanking dishes and sighing loud enough to echo through the kitchen. Every time she walked past me, she let out another sigh, like she was carrying 100 pounds of sadness on her back. I sat at the table with my coffee and the morning paper like it didn't bother me. Morning, I said once. She didn't answer. By lunch, she'd added door slamming to the routine. Bedroom door, bathroom door, kitchen drawers. All loud, all deliberate. The old me would have asked what was wrong, tried to smooth it over. I just kept drinking my coffee. Day 2 was the same. No words, just noise. She scrolled her phone in the living room while I cooked my own dinner in the kitchen. She muttered things under her breath. Selfish, ridiculous. Just loud enough for me to hear, but not enough to count as a conversation. That night, she finally cracked. You know, she said, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. My sister thinks you're being controlling. I didn't look up from my book. How so? Refusing to give me money for something I need? That's financial control, Brian. You're acting like my dad. I closed the book and set it on the armrest. You're free to spend your own money, just not mine. Her face twisted. You're unbelievable. We're married. Our money is supposed to be shared. I shook my head slowly. Shared means both people invest. Not just one person spending and the other filling the tank. She stomped her foot. You're twisting things. I do invest. She stopped, mouth hanging open. Like she realized mid-sentence she had nothing concrete to point to. Go ahead, I said calmly. List it. Her jaw worked, but no words came out. Finally she spat. Forget it. You'll never get it. I stood, walked past her to the sink, rinsed my cup. I get it just fine. That's when she threw down the ace she thought would win. I'm going to stay at Mom's for a while, she said, chin up like it was a threat. Maybe when you come to your senses you'll call me. I dried my hands on the towel. Okay. She blinked. That's it? Just okay? Yeah, I said, hanging the towel back on the hook. Okay. Her eyes narrowed. You don't even care, do you? I turned to her. I care. I just don't chase anymore. For a second she just stood there, like she'd walked into a room expecting a fight and found it empty. Her arms dropped. You've changed, she said quietly. I shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe you're just noticing. She grabbed her bag, stuffed a few things into it, slammed the zipper. Fine. Enjoy your freedom. I stepped aside so she could pass. Drive safe. She froze for a heartbeat, waiting for me to ask her to stay. When I didn't, she pulled open the door and left without looking back. The house went still after that. Not heavy like before, just still. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guilty about it. The next morning, I woke up alone, and nothing felt off about it. I made my usual eggs, hit the gym, and didn't check my phone once. By noon, the calls started. Not from her. She wasn't that direct. My mom called first. Hey, I just heard from Amanda. She says you're being distant, not communicating. I sat on the back porch with my coffee. Did she tell you why she left? She said you've changed, that you're shutting her out. I sighed. Mom, I cooked dinner. She walked past me like I wasn't there. For months, I said no to one spa trip and she packed a bag. That's the full story. There was a pause. Then Mom said, well, marriage takes two. Exactly. She didn't push after that. She got it. Then came the friends. Chris texted me, bro, your wife's blowing up my phone. What's going on? She wants sympathy, I replied. Don't give it to her. He texted back, didn't plan to. She's talking like you're some kind of monster. But I remember those nights you waited up for her just to eat dinner. She's rewriting things. By day 3, I found out she'd even stopped by our neighbor Jenny's place, talking loud enough on the porch to make sure the whole street heard her side. Said I'd cut her off financially, like she was some prisoner. Jenny didn't bite. In fact, Jenny waved at me that evening and said, hope you're doing okay. Must be peaceful in there now. I smiled. It is. The old version of me would have been panicking, trying to control the narrative, trying to fix things before they spiraled. But I stayed quiet. Let her spin. Let people see the difference between a tantrum and a boundary. Then came the unexpected shift, her best friend, Taylor. Taylor had always been in her corner, always defended her no matter what. But I ran into her at the gas station that Friday, and she looked at me with this mix of confusion and concern. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Did you really tell Amanda no? Just one time. I nodded. She asked for $500 for a spa day. I said no because I'm not an emotional vending machine. That's all I said. She frowned. That's not how she told it. She made it sound like you've been freezing her out for months. I have, I said plainly. After trying every night for over a year. She didn't respond right away, just looked down at the pump. Then said, I'll talk to her. That's when I knew. She was losing her grip. The story wasn't landing the way she thought it would. People weren't jumping in to rescue her. They were connecting the dots. And the louder she got, the quieter I stayed. That contrast, it did the heavy lifting for me. Back at the house, I kept my routine solid. Gym, work, groceries, reading, clean kitchen, good meals, no chaos, no walking on eggshells. Every day that passed without her here, the air felt easier to breathe. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't revenge. It was just finally living without having to shrink myself down to keep someone else comfortable. She kept trying, though. One day, I found a handwritten note in the mailbox. Can we talk? This isn't like you. She was right. This wasn't like me. And I had no plans to go back to who I used to be. She showed up 2 days later. I was in the garage changing the oil in my car when I heard her heels on the concrete. I didn't even look up until she spoke. We need to talk, she said flatly. I wiped my hands and turned toward her. Go ahead. She pulled out a folded piece of paper like she was reading from a speech. Here's what I need if we're going to fix this. I raised an eyebrow. Fix what exactly? This marriage, she snapped. If you still care. I leaned against the workbench, arms crossed. All right, let's hear it. 1. You stop using silence as punishment. 2. You start acting like a husband again. Supportive, generous, available. 3. You agree we both need to compromise. And 4. If you can't do that, we're done. I didn't react. Just let her stand there, holding her list like a contract. Then I said, the man you married thought love meant giving until he was empty. That man's gone. She flinched. So you're just going to shut down? That's your solution? No, I said. I'm saying I finally figured out the game. You only show up when the benefits stop. Her mouth opened, closed. She looked genuinely confused. That's not fair. I've been trying. Trying now, I corrected. Where was all this when I was coming home every night hoping you'd look up from your phone? She hesitated, then stepped closer. We've both made mistakes. We just need to reconnect. Be intimate again. Start fresh. I tilted my head. You think sex is gonna fix this? She moved in like she was about to touch me. I'm offering a real chance to rebuild. I know I've been distant, but we can restart tonight. Together. I held up a hand. Stop. Don't do that. Her smile faltered. Do what? Use your body like it's a bargaining chip, I said. You're trying to buy affection with sex. That's not love. That's a transaction. Her face went cold. I can't believe you'd say that to me. I can, I said calmly. Because it's true. She turned on her heel, furious now. You've changed into someone bitter and cold. I don't even recognize you anymore. I didn't flinch. That's because you only recognized me when I was catering to you. She stormed toward the door. Fine. Keep playing the victim. Let's see how long that peace you love lasts when you're alone. I walked back to the car and popped the hood. I've never been less alone than I was with you. She stopped in the doorway, waiting for me to take it back. I didn't. After a few seconds, she left without slamming the door. That was new. She finally realized something was different. Her rules didn't work anymore. It was late. I just finished cleaning up dinner. My own dinner, again, when the front door flew open. She came in fast, slamming it behind her. Her face was red, her mascara already streaking. You're cruel, she said, voice shaking. You're punishing me. I didn't move. I dried my hands on the towel and leaned back against the counter. Okay, let's talk. She threw her bag on the floor. You're acting like I never did anything for this marriage. Like I never loved you. I kept my voice calm. Do you love me? Her mouth dropped open. Are you serious? Of course I do. When's the last time you cared about my life? I asked. Not tolerated it, cared. When's the last time you asked how my day was? She blinked, caught off guard. I don't remember. But that doesn't mean. When's the last time you gave me your time without needing something in return? She opened her mouth again. Nothing came out. I nodded. Exactly. I've been under pressure, Brian. Work, family, everything. I held up a hand. No, we're not doing that. This isn't about your schedule. This is about effort. You had time to text your sister, call your friends, book spa packages. You just didn't spend any of that time on me. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her cardigan. So now you're keeping score? No, I said, stepping closer. I'm finally reading the scoreboard you've ignored for years. I pointed toward the living room. You sat on that couch for months while I begged for your attention. I asked you to eat dinner with me. You ate while watching your phone. I tried movie nights. You said you were too tired. I asked for walks. You said your feet hurt. But somehow, a day at the spa sounded doable. She started to pace. You're twisting things to make me the villain. Who hired a cleaning service using my account without asking me? She froze. Who started cooking frozen food every night and calling it dinner? While I still handled every damn bill in this house? Her voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't think it mattered. It mattered to me, I said louder now. It mattered when I walked in from work and you couldn't even look up from your phone. It mattered when I spent nights eating alone while you laughed with people online. You treated me like background noise. She covered her face. I didn't mean to. But you did, I said, over and over again, until I stopped trying. And you didn't even notice. Silence. Then I said what needed to be said. I loved you. Fully. Honestly. I gave more than I should have. But I finally stopped chasing someone who never even saw me standing right in front of her. She looked up, face wet, mouth trembling. You still could have talked to me. I did, I said. You just stopped listening. The words hit her hard. She slumped down onto the edge of the couch, suddenly small. You think I don't feel anything? She asked. I think you feel it now because the convenience is gone, I said. But when I needed a partner, you gave me excuses. Now that I'm giving you silence, suddenly it's punishment. She stared at the floor, and for once, didn't argue. She stayed on the couch, wiping at her eyes like that would fix anything. I stood across from her, arms crossed, dead silent. I wasn't filling the space for her this time. Finally, she looked up. So what now? She asked, voice raw. You're just walking away over money? I laughed, just once, sharp. It was never about the spa day. You really think this all blew up over $500? She blinked, confused, like she couldn't imagine anything deeper than the price tag. I kept going. This is about years. Years of me trying and you doing the bare minimum. Me asking for connection and getting brushed off like I was a task on your to-do list. You say I'm cruel. But you didn't care when I was breaking inside trying to hold this marriage together. Her lip quivered. I didn't know you felt that way. You didn't ask, I said. Because deep down you knew. You just didn't want to deal with it. She swallowed hard. Do you want a divorce? I looked her straight in the eyes. I want a marriage. A real one. A partnership where both people show up. But if that's not something you can give, then yeah. Divorce is better than pretending. She shook her head. But I can change. I just need time to. I raised my hand. Take all the time you want. She lit up for half a second, thinking that meant I'd wait. Then I said, but I won't be standing still. I'm not pressing pause on my life so you can figure out if I'm worth effort. That hit her harder than anything else I'd said. She stood up fast, pacing the living room. So you're just done? After everything? After everything? I repeated. You mean the dinners you ignored? The holidays you spent on your phone? The nights I laid in bed next to you feeling completely alone? She covered her face with both hands. I messed up. I know that. I got lazy. I stopped trying. But we can fix this. We didn't break this, I said. I did everything I could until I had nothing left. You didn't even notice I was running on fumes. Her voice dropped to a whisper. So you're really done? I exhaled through my nose. I'm done waiting. That's the truth. She walked to the door, slow and shaky, stopped with her hand on the knob. You used to fight for us. I did, I said, but I was the only one swinging. She turned like she was about to say something else, but nothing came out. Her eyes were glossy, jaw clenched. I hope you figure out what you want, I said, softer now. But don't expect me to stay frozen while you do. She opened the door, paused like she was hoping I'd stop her. I didn't, and when it clicked shut behind her, I stood there for a second, staring at the space she left behind. No weight, no dread, just peace. 6 months later, I was sitting on my back porch, drinking real coffee. Not that watery store-brand stuff she used to buy. Just me, a solid brew, and a quiet house that actually felt like home. She did go on that spa trip, by the way. Booked it herself, charged it to her own card, and posted the whole thing on Instagram like it was some victory lap. Caption said, "Self-care queen," right? During the divorce, she suddenly remembered she had once sacrificed her career to support the marriage. Said she deserved compensation for lost potential. The judge didn't buy it. I showed up with receipts, literally. She'd been working full-time the entire marriage and spending like we had 6 figures coming in. Mutual friends started hearing the real story. I didn't trash her. I didn't need to. Once people found out I cooked, cleaned, paid everything, and still got ignored for a year, most of them quietly took my side. A few stayed neutral, but no one backed her narrative. Even her best friend stopped defending her. She tried to come back 3 times. Once with a text that said, "Miss you." Once with a voicemail full of fake laughs and soft music in the background. And once, she showed up at my door in full makeup holding banana bread like we were in a sitcom. Each time, I asked her one question: "What exactly do you miss about me?" She had no answer, because it was never about me. Now, I'm seeing someone new. Different vibe entirely. She asks how my day was. She listens not out of obligation but because she actually cares. She doesn't treat my attention like it's owed. She matches it. It's not perfect. Nothing is. But it's real. And I don't feel invisible anymore. That spa request, best rejection I ever made. It wasn't about money. It was the moment I said no to being overlooked. No to begging. No to being in a marriage that felt like a slow death by silence. That no forced me to say yes to myself for the first time in years.